to all the learners. Welcome to CEC lecture. The topic of analysis is World Development Patterns. In this lecture, we shall try to analyze the issue of world development with reference to the important assumption that today the idea of world development is multidimensional. This lecture shall elaborate on global trends, new parameters that are having an important bearing with reference to world development, and we shall take reference to important reports by international organization. Further, as we take reference to international reports, we shall try to understand that how today in the international scenario, international development is a complex concept. International development has to be reviewed and understood with reference to new dynamics, new challenges for issues of security and national interests for respective nation states. In this lecture, as we try to look at new issues in development, we shall also try to understand this important aspect that how today global development is witnessing new challenges as well as new opportunities. Development implies growth. Development is related to progress. Development is related to positive changes which are there, maybe with the addition of physical components, economic development, environmental sustainability, social betterment, amongst others. So what we see here is for any nation state, the idea of development implies many things, from economic development to societal development to political development. Now, as we understand development, we all know that issues concerning development were seen in a very simplified manner, that is with reference to the idea of rich versus poor nation. An example here is the Brandett report, how this report in the year 1980s, it tried to understood world development with reference to the poor south and rich north. However, dear learners, today when we look at the global scenario, patterns of global development have become more complex. An example of the same here is that how today many international organizations, they publish important reports regularly on important themes. And this could be attributed to the changing context of international relations. And that is, today we are living in a world which is defined by interdependence. Today we are living in a world when the world order is no longer about military warfare, but the world order is about new dimensions like health, like economy, human security, human development, amongst others. So as we deliberate further on the world development patterns, we should look at especially at the Human Development Report that is published by United Nations Development Program in order to elaborate on issues concerning international development. The United Nations Development Program, it aims to achieve eradication of poverty, reduction of inequalities and exclusion. UNDP aims to help countries to develop policies, leadership skills, partnering abilities, institutional capabilities and build resilience in order to sustain development results. We can study more about aims of UNDP from undp.org. The Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, as they are known as the global goals, they were adopted by United Nations member states in the year 2015. They were a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. So when we look at the strategic plan that is from 2018 to 2021, it sets out direction for a new UNDP that is optimized to help countries to achieve 2030 agenda for sustainable development. Now, bringing the insights more towards the work of UNDP, we must look at the signature solutions that UNDP focuses on. The signature solutions of UNDP are keeping people out of poverty, governance for peaceful, just and inclusive societies, crisis prevention and increased resilience, environment, that is nature-based solutions for development, clean, affordable energy, women empowerment and gender equality. The Human Development Report, as we take as the case study to understand the issue of world development patterns. Dear learners, this is an annual report published by the Human Development Report Office of the United Nations Development Program. To point out here, the first Human Development Report was launched in 1990 by economist Mehboob Haq and Nobel laureate Amartya Sen. Now we take reference to 2019 Human Development Report to take the facts presented by the report to guide us further for world development patterns. The 2019 Human Development Report entitled Beyond Income, Beyond Averages, Beyond Today, Inequalities in Human Development in the 21st Century. Now this report explores inequality in human development by going beyond income, beyond the averages and beyond today. The report asks what forms of inequality matters and also what drives them. It recognizes the pernicious inequalities are generally better thought of as a symptom of broader problems in a society and economy, and that what policies can tackle those drivers. The source of this report, UNDP 2019 Human Development Report 2019, Beyond Income, Beyond Averages, Beyond Today, Inequalities in Human Development in 21st Century. This is from New York, and here we also have the online accessible links for the report. Now, the report points that the gap in basic living standards is narrowing for millions of people, but necessities to thrive have evolved. One must also take that into account. At the same time, new generations of inequalities are opening up around education, technology, climate change. The report also points out, if unchecked, this could trigger a new great divergence in societies of the kind not seen since the Industrial Revolution. This report analyzes inequality in 3 steps. As we take inputs from the report, beyond income, beyond averages and beyond today. The 2019 Human Development Index HDI and its sister index, the 2019 Inequality Adjusted Human Development Index, set out that the unequal distribution of education, health and living standards, they have stymied countries' progress. By these measures, 20%, as we take this important data from the report, of human development progress was lost through inequalities in 2018. Now, what are the solutions to cater to the problem at hand? Once again, we take solutions from as pointed out by the report. The solutions are early childhood and lifelong investment, productivity, that is, policies to enhance productivity alone are not enough, however. The growing market power of employers is linked to a declining income share for workers, Antitrust and other policies are key to address imbalances of market power. Public spending, fair taxation, and to that it points that more domestic policies are framed by global corporate tax discussions, and this also highlights the importance of new principles for international taxation to help ensure fair play, avoid a race to the bottom in corporate tax rate, especially that is digitalization, bringing new forms of value to the economy, and to detect and deter tax evasion. Looking beyond averages, that is, information is needed to create policies to tackle inequality. And planning beyond today, that is, looking beyond today, implies that, as the report also presents to us inputs, the report asks how inequality may change in future. That is, tackling climate crisis, technological revolution, social protection policies, investment in lifelong learning to help workers adjust or change to new occupations, and international consensus on how to tax digital activities, all part of building a new, secure, stable digital economy as a force for convergence, not divergence in human development. Inequality, as the report points out, is just not about how much someone earns as compared to the neighbor. It is about unequal distribution of wealth and power, entrenched social and political norms that are bringing people onto the streets today, and the triggers that will do so in the future unless something changes. Recognizing the real face of inequality, as the report points out, is the first step. What happens next is a choice that each leader must make. Further, to elaborate further on the issue of world development patterns, taking reference to Human Development Report, we now take reference to the Human Development Report 2020, the next frontier, human development and the Anthropocene. This report points out that broken societies put people and planet on collision course. An experimental global index offers a new measurement of human progress that illustrates the challenge of tackling poverty and inequality while easing planetary pressure. This report, the Human Development Report 2020, points reference to the COVID-19 pandemic, that is crisis that the world is facing, but unless humans realize and release their grip on nature, it won't be the last. So there is a stark choice, as the report points out, for world leaders, that is, take bold steps to reduce immense pressure that is being exerted on the environment and the natural world, or humanity's progress will stall. The report points out that this is an unprecedented moment in history in which human activity has become a dominant force shaping the planet. The report also points out, that this was the 30th anniversary edition of the Human Development Report, the next frontier, human development and the Anthropocene. This introduces experimental new lens to the annual Human Development Index, and by adjusting the HDI, which measures a nation's health, education, standards of living, to include two more elements, that is, a country's carbon dioxide emissions and its material footprint. The index shows how global development landscape would change if both well-being of people and also the planet were central to defining humanity's progress. The report points out that no doubt humanity has achieved incredible progress. However, we have taken the earth for granted, destabilizing the very systems upon which we rely for survival. And an important reference that the report points out, and we present it before you, the COVID-19 pandemic. It exposes as well as exploits, as the report points out, overlapping inequalities as well as weaknesses in social, economic and political systems. It threatens to reverse, sets the trends for reversals in human development. The Human Development Report, as we all know, it is an annual report, an important report by United Nations Development Program. Every year it draws our attention and emphasis on defining issues of our time with reference to a particular theme. Climate change and inequalities, as we just saw today, they are important bearing with reference to international security. What is essential here is that we must take reference from the inputs presented by the reports in order to understand, in order to steer our efforts towards the future we want. Further, as we took reference to the important reports by UNDP to understand further world development patterns, one thing that has an important bearing with reference to global development patterns, that today global development is just not about distribution of income, but it is also about the issues concerning distribution of wealth and power, issues concerning that have a bearing with reference to education, like issues concerning sustainability, technology, climate change. So the idea of development today is multi-dimensional. The 2019 UNDP report, by presenting us issues like to cater to issues of inequality, that is looking at when the report analyzed inequality with reference to 3 steps: beyond income, beyond averages, beyond today. This report presented to us solutions. Now, an important solution, as we take some of the important solutions, as we take them one by one: early childhood and lifelong investment. Today, education, literacy, knowledge, wisdom, all of it, all the ambit of learning have an important bearing with reference to development of human resources of any nation. Nations today must think as to what are the causes that lead to children dropping out of school. Nations must ponder over the need to have lifelong investment with reference to education. This report also points out the need to enhance productivity with reference to bigger framework of right policies. No doubt there is a need to enhance productivity levels. However, these are not enough. There must be joint effort on part of nations to work out policy mechanisms, to work out collaborative mechanisms that addresses imbalances of the market power. We all know that we are living in a world of globalization where the state exists with non-state actors. The state is also there existing with market framework within the framework of global trade and finance apparatus. So therefore, there is a need for right framework to ensure that market power works to the advantage of the human being. It should not be only a one-way realm to let profits only sustain. Then, the report also points out, the 2019 UNDP report gives a solution of public spending and fair taxation. No doubt we are there in a realm where digitalization is there in all economy. What is essential here is we need a transparent, fair play. Avoid a race to the bottom in corporate tax rates. And this is essential to ensure that both, there must be a balance between public spending and fair taxation, because what is essential here is a right approach with right taxation, right information, parity to tackle inequality, because today inequality is no longer about inequality of wealth. It is about issues concerning the norms that are dividing people today, from technology to education to climate crisis to sustainability. And this recognition is the first step, and the next step should be a collaborative effort approach to cater to the problem at hand. The Human Development Report 2020 also presented to us important dynamics of world development patterns, that today we have to see that the challenge of tackling poverty, inequality, human progress has to be seen in a holistic framework. There is a choice, and the choice demands that we must think that humanity's progress will there when we look at human activity in a sustainable aspect. That is, what is essential here is we must recognize that humanity has achieved progress. However, at the same time, one cannot ignore the trade-offs, the destabilization that has been there with the process of industrialization, urbanization, privatization, liberalization, globalization. And today there are big question marks on issues of survival. The COVID-19 pandemic, wherein a virus disrupted the entire framework of national and global governance, both for respective nation states as well as for international milieu. It not only exposed and presented the overlapping inequality, but it also called upon respective nation states, drew their attention towards contested issues of development for the present times. Today, world development patterns are multifaceted. Climate change, sustainability, technological divide, inequalities, health security, all have an important bearing with reference to security agenda both at national and global level. What is needed here is to work out a comprehensive strategy with a holistic insight to steer our efforts towards a sustainable future for the planet. So, dear learners, in the lecture on world development patterns, where we took reference to the UNDP 2019 Human Development Report, UNDP 2020 Human Development Report, we drew from the important facts and findings of these two reports to elaborate that how today world development has multiple aspects, because the idea of security and national interest for respective nation states exists on a broad framework where there are multiple issues of analysis. Further, what the important inputs that we got both from UNDP 2019 Human Development Report and UNDP 2020 Human Development Report, that patterns of world development today are indeed multifaceted, contested and complex. It varies from issues of inequalities to issues of overbearing, over interface, over exploitation of human interface with the natural environment. So, there is a need to cater to these issues with the right approach in order to ensure sustainable future and healthy planet for everyone. We hope the lecture on world development patterns to underline the fact that how world development issues are very significant today while understanding world development patterns. And these world development patterns, how dynamic they are, how they are having new bearings as we try to understood with reference to UNDP 2019 and 2020 Human Development Report presented to you significant inputs for the same. Dear learners, we look forward to positive, encouraging feedback from you all for the lecture on World Development Patterns with reference to UNDP 2019 and 2020 Human Development Report. Thank you very much for being with us.